I'm going to move to approval of minutes of the November 4, 2020 meeting.
I move we approve.
Second.
Okay, any comments, further, any discussion at all? Any changes or anything? Okay,
Who seconded that?
Terry.
Terry?
I've got notes, Tim.
Oh, you got it? Okay, good. Thanks.
Yeah. I'll give you.
Oh, you got him, Terry? So I was doing them too.
Good. All right, good. I'll put my pen down.
I was just,
All right.
I was waiting for Doug to ask.
I thought Patrick was going to jump in there.
so who is honestly taking minutes now?
That would be me. I'll take them.
Okay, thank you. Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
All righty. Okay, old business, Willard property, proposed park space. Sounds like you got an update, Seth.
Yes, I do. So the applicant is interested in sharing with you on receiving a vote of approvals or ideal goal from you regarding the open space that they're proposing in this development and the park space that would be provided in this development. Some of it would eventually be dedicated to the town. So what I'm going to do is bring in Jim Clifford, Billy Willard, and then their engineer, Dave, and he can present that. So I will share my screen with them. They have a few slides to share with you, but I'm going to bring them in now, unless you have
Okay,
questions.
Okay. They wanted approval?
They want to vote approval on the open space. I should have been clear that they're proposed to be on the planning commission for their sketch plan or concept plan next Wednesday.
Okay. Thanks.
So they want to go to the planning commission with,
Hey, question,
Level of approval.
can I ask a quick question?
yeah. Go ahead.
So should we be voting on anything if it hasn't actually been presented to the planning commission?
Well, I've thought about that a little bit, and it's a very good question. Any vote you're taking is really just acknowledging to the planning commission that as the Parks and Rec Board, Parks, Rec and Street Board, that you believe the open space they're providing is adequate. So anything you have would be conditionalized on planning commission approval. So that's how we're doing it. And Mr. Clifford will tell you that to him, it's pretty important that he receive your approval because he feels and believes that the open space is such a fundamental key element to this plan that that's probably a question the planning commission will ask, as well as if you have all sort of had an opportunity to look at this, which you have, but the distinction is a formal vote. That's a long way of saying both processes sort of can occur fairly closely. I don't really think we're separating the horse and the cart very much, if we are at all, just because anything you do is going to be contingent upon what the planning commission does. It's not like you're approving the plan per se, just the open space concept.
Okay. I'm just kind of thinking about Jeff's question and the response and trying to make sure that we're all, and I don't think it's something, it is and it isn't something that you would say, you know, pursuant to the planning commission's approval of the development, Poolsville Parks and Streets Board has voted in favor of, it's too Willy Neal here. Anyway,
I mean, I guess my thought is, I mean, because isn't the planning commission still going to have to do all the math and whatever and figure out?
yeah, they are.
Correct.
I mean, we could say something to the effect of, you know, we had input into what is being presented here,
True. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
pursuant upon what the planning commission, you know, decides, you know, the Parks Board has had
Yeah.
input and is happy with the resulting the result, what is coming, the result that's being presented.
Right, right. I think we need to get out of here with two items intact, and that is I don't want to step on anybody's toes. And in two, we want to show to the town of Poolsville that, the Parks Board legitimately took a look at this and went through several rounds until we were satisfied that it was presented with what we needed. And then we were able to move forward from our end, which is accepting it going forward. So right. Jeff, help me vocalize it.
Because really, I think they did present. The Willards have got a nice plan for the open space and what they really have worked with us about the parking and everything. I think they've really gone, beyond what we need as park, as parks itself. So,
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. I just want to make sure we're not stepping ahead of what the actual process is.
Right.
Because
Can't we say we like the concept and we approve it we send it to the next step?
Well, and I would be really granular that, when you say the concept, the open space layout. John and I've taken a look at this.
Open space?
Yeah, the open space, because then the rest is the planning commission's jurisdiction, as you know. And so John and I have begun to calculate some of the open space. It looks like they're there. So, that factor will be addressed in the details. But I guess if I was going to sort of jump into this, the planning commission obviously going to weigh into the bulk of the assemblage of all the pieces of collective development. And you have this one component, clearly, as you all know. But based on listening to Willard and feedback I've gotten from other directions, it sounds as if the open space that they're providing is definitely in keeping with the desired goals of the community. And I guess I'm providing a little bit of a staff recommendation within this is that, when you see this plan in the back section of it, which you've already saw last time, the back section, they've definitely buffered from the residential neighborhoods. So the existing ones. So I think that provides those property owners a little sense of, separation of use, even though they're both residential and fairly compatible as it is. They've done some great, I'll call it view sheds and where when you're standing at, say, at the pergola here in Wayland Commons and looking into this development, you see open space. So your visual eye trains you into more open space when you're in Wayland Commons. What they've done is another great amenity and feature for the community and for the John Poole House is there is a buffer around the John Poole House, but also there is parking within that vicinity for our events that we have on Wayland Common, and that provides a little bit of an overflow as well in there. A number of the homes front on some
Seth.
level of open space.
Hey, Seth,
Yeah.
Can I just jump in real quick?
why don't we let Billy and Clifford, you guys, jump in here at this point?
Sure, I
and
will.
show-
I'm just going to say from a staff recommendation, that would be, something I recommend this body adopt. But I was giving you the broad overview of what they have, but they can get into the nuts and bolts on that and go from there.
Okay.
Jeff, you want me to get started?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Jim.
There you go.
All right. It's nice to see you all again. I wish we could be meeting in person. This is Jim Clifford. I'm the land use attorney working with the Willards. I live on Cattail Road down in Poolsville. And this is, I think, our fifth time in front of you. That may seem odd to a lot of people from the outside, but I think everybody in your room, on your board, and as well as ourselves, know that this is a very park-centric plan. The original 3 years ago turned a blind eye to where this community would fit in this project would fit inside the community. So when we withdrew and rebooted and got rid of builders and started to look at this plan as fellow town citizens, we took a lot of input from a lot of different organizations. And thank God, for the most part, everybody was very constructive. Everybody was very generous with their time. And I would have to say that no one's been more generous or constructive than the Parks Department, or excuse me, the Parks Board. You all have been wonderful in helping us come up with what we think is a really perfect fit for the town. It is a project that had to be that way. It had to begin with what the requirements and the needs of the town were, and then develop out from there. And that's what we did. There's nothing new from a month ago when we presented to you. I don't know if you have any new members on the board and whether we should go through our full presentation, start to finish, or whether you all have a different plan for us. We're prepared to do a full presentation if that's what you'd like. It's not any different than it was a month ago, because I think a month ago we had the plan everybody liked. And the only reason we're back is I was under the impression, maybe I misunderstood, that you all couldn't give us a recommendation last time because you felt that the application had to be in first. And then it would be appropriate to make the application. I don't know that this is a precedent because I don't know of any other plan that will ever be so focused on the part of their project as we have been. So it only seemed natural to us to round out what we've been doing with you all with a recommendation to take to the planning board with us, so that we know that they know we've done our homework as it relates to the community and the parks and the services that are being provided. So Seth or Mr. Chairman, I guess, Doug, I would ask you guys to tell us if you want a full presentation or something less than that.
Jim, if I could, Jeff Eck has joined us. As you know, he's one of our new commissioners, and he's been appointed to this board. And he missed the first sort of introductory. So
Sure.
You might, even if it's not full, maybe it's a little more than cursory, and then trends towards full as well to give him an understanding.
Sure.
And just so I can give Jeff just a quick 1 minute, is the applicants of the property are here to seek a vote of approval from the Parks and Rec Board as they head to the Planning Commission next week, because they feel there's a very park-centric plan, which they'll get into those details. I would concur with that, and I don't think we're really out of sync because the Planning Commission ultimately has the approval, and the Planning Commission often relies on the Parks and Rec Board for some input. But Billy Willard is here, Jim Clifford, his attorney, is here, and then his design engineer or design landscape person, Dave, is here. So I just want to give you a background, Jeff.
Hey, Seth, in furtherance to that too, and for Jeffrey edification, the reason the developer is coming to the Parks Board is because each development that gets developed in Poolesville requires a certain percentage of land to be designated as parkland. And that's what we're talking about here. And over the years, we've gotten, I think, a lot more detail as people understand how critical parks are to, the Poolesville in particular and the surrounding area beyond that. So sometime we'll go over some stats of the parks and that. I'll be happy to do that with you, but that's why these guys are here, and that's why we're listening to what they have to tell us.
Thank you. I don't know if you can hear me because I have my mask on. I'm in the fire station and it's mandatory to keep your mask on. So apologies. Apologies.
No problem.
And I did watch the video from the previous, I believe it was the previous meeting, where I believe it was Mr. Clifford did show the layout of the plan for the Willard property. So I did watch that, the whole thing through, and I appreciate that. So I think being new on here, I don't know if I'm going to have a whole lot to contribute yet. So I'm just going to kind of sit back and watch, if that's okay.
Sure. Feel free to jump in with questions or comments at any time.
Thank you.
Oh, hey, Doug, or Jeff, just another bit of information.
Yes.
I don't know what time you jumped in, but I guess because Jim had mentioned it, this is the 5th time that we've met and discussed this. So it's really been a work in progress. It's worked really well. Mm-hmm. It's come along. So, I'm really thrilled with it. I think the way this whole working group type environment that we've had has really worked out well with this.
Right,
But yeah,
right.
just to let you know, yeah, because like Jim said, this is the 5th time that we've been together doing this.
Right, right. And your comments, Jeff, are that in the context of the parks?
It pretty much pretty much only the parks, the parking over by the John Poole House,
Right. Oh, yeah.
just the open space, all of that.
Right. Okay.
They were open to us moving the location of the playground and that kind of thing. We talked about that sight line that they were talking about, where you can,
Yes.
look from the pavilion straight through to the original house that's there.
Right.
That
Right.
kind of thing. We've talked about names of that little street or whatever, that kind of thing. It's really been a good process.
Okay. Thank you very much for that input. I appreciate it.
Welcome, Commissioner Vick. We haven't met yet. I'm looking forward to that day. Maybe I'll be able to call you by your first name after that.
Mr. Clifford, absolutely. You can call me Jeff anytime.
All right. Well, thank you. Congratulations on your victory. And I
Thank
think
you,
you're
sir.
part of a great team now. And I hope you'll see, as we have seen, that this Parks Board is a real diamond in the crown of Poolesville. They're extraordinary. And I deal with a lot of different administrations around 3 states and deal with a lot of boards and commissions. And I must say, this is one of the better experiences I've ever had because of the cooperation and everybody put on their thinking cap and kind of threw out the preconceptions. And I think we came up with a plan that has their fingerprints all over it,
Mhm.
as well as other communities. I'm not going to take you through the whole history of what we've been through the last 3 years, but we've met with a great deal of the community, gotten great input from everybody, from the moms of Poolesville to especially the folks from the John Poole House and Historic Medley District Board. And just feel like we feel really good about this plan. We don't have a builder yet, and it may be that that's going to be the hardest thing we have to do, is to find somebody willing to build exactly what the Willards are going to require. They're not going
Right.
to suggest it, they're going to require it. And so we're doing this without a builder. Very unique. I've never done that as a land use attorney before, but it's got to be done right. It's the most unique situation I've ever come across. We've combed through the testimony of the prior builders' attempt to develop this property. And we've gone through everything that the folks at POP did and their questionnaires and
Right.
answers. And we really feel like we tried to meld that all into this plan. And it's a very unique plan. One thing you need to know as before I start and turn this over to Dave Edgar, our land planner, is that these houses are all small houses. They're all from about 1,200 square feet to about 1,800 square feet, maybe as much as 2,000 with some options. So about half the size of what we're used to seeing come into town
Right.
under the new values of building. It's requiring that we've done a lot of lobbying with the county to try to help with impact taxes down on the county level, because they really didn't have a system to open the door to what we call a missing middle housing type. You were going to be paying $60,000 to build a 1,400 square foot house or a 4,400 square foot house. And
Oh,
that doesn't make sense, and it won't allow the door to be open to these smaller homes. So we're working on that, and the county's been very receptive. So that's part of a two-pronged approach that we have in trying to get this community done right. It's kind of known in the planning area as a pocket community, and I think that's exactly what it should be. But anyhow, having said all that, Dave Edgar has been on board since the very beginning. He's a wonderful land planner. He's had a lot of experience both in Kentlands and other places. And I'm going to turn it over to him and let him do a presentation similar to what we did last month in front of the Parks Board.
well, thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Dave.
Clifford. That explanation is very helpful. I do appreciate that.
Of course. I just hope David got on the Zoom. Dave, are you with us?
I am on the Zoom. Can you hear me?
Barely. You're very light.
Okay, let me turn up the volume. Is that a little better?
Not much. A
How's
lot
that?
of us are old.
How is that? Is that any better?
A little better.
Okay, I'll talk very loud. I'm sorry. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to present this. And I'm assuming that everybody can see the screen, the PowerPoint that we're going to present.
It's up, yes.
Okay, thank you, Seth. This is the same one that we presented last month at your meeting, and I'll just, stop me at any time, but we'll go through this as briefly as we can and still hit all the points. Obviously, this is the property as it exists today. Just to orient everybody, the Willard House is right here in the center of the community. John Poole House is here, Fisher Avenue, Fife Road, Town Hall. And this is a summary of all of those meetings that Jim and I attended and Billy Willard attended with the different folks in the community that helped inform the design that we've submitted for concept approval. And a lot of these comments directly relate to the park's design, and some of them have already been brought up by Mr. Rivard and Mr. Clifford. But just to kind of hit a few of the high points, there are two major park locations, one next to the John Poole House and one next to the Town Hall building, and we'll talk more about that. There is the visual sight lines that we're providing from the Whalen Commons to the Willard House and from the Willard House to the John Poole House. And then the other important feature is that the parks are not like behind the houses. They're actually going to be very active parks with the fronts of buildings facing to the park with porches and that sort of thing, but not with roads. So there'll be homes facing the parks with a very quiet pedestrian environment. And so this is the plan, and what we've been referring to as the Willard's Common is located to the west here. It's about 1 acre in size, just under an acre. It's labeled Parcel A on our concept plan, but it's also referred to as the Willard's Common. The second park is about 1/4 acre in size, and it's located to the east. It is integrated with the stormwater facility along Fife Road to not only provide for the recreation, but also provide perhaps a environmental interpretation garden for kids who are visiting the park. So we thought that was appropriate, and I think we got very good positive feedback from that. The other nice feature about this is that it's immediately adjacent to the old right-of-way for Fife Road, which is here. And so it actually has a linkage and makes the park feel much larger. And in our plan, we also have a proposed forest planting area that is labeled as Parcel G, I believe, on the plan. And that's like here. So that will make this feel like a much larger park than actually is. And obviously it's got visual connectivity to Whalen's Commons. So we're zooming in now. This is the Willard's Commons, as we refer to it, adjacent to the John Poole House. And what you can see along the bottom of the page is the future pedestrian walkway along Fisher Avenue. Our proposed entrance is labeled Street A. The Willard House is just to the right of that. And then it comes into a T, and then there's an opportunity to turn into the park and have a grass paver parking area adjacent and near the John Poole House. And that is integrated with a sidewalk system that extends over to the John Poole House, and eventually, per the streetscape plan, will be connected down through the John Poole House to the existing sidewalk in front of John Poole House. And then you can see that we have homes with proposed porches. Many of them are proposed porches that face onto the commons, and a sidewalk is identified in yellow that will be along the perimeter of the park. We have street trees. There's no street, but we have trees that will provide shade along that walkway system. And we have two stormwater facilities. One is planned to serve the park itself and any improvements that the town may propose within the park. And the second one is actually a buffer between these homes and the park. And it actually serves to filter stormwater from the homes to the north of the park. And then you might see there is a storm drain system planned through the park. And that's important because what it does, it picks up water that is currently flowing from offsite and will pass that water through the property. There's one pickup point north of the John Poole House and at least one more point to the south near Fisher Avenue. So that's Willard's Commons. And then,
but Dave, let me interrupt you a minute. Can you speak, if you would please, about the alternate use for Willard Commons? This was a Parks Department recommendation, and it'll be implemented in the plan as to overflow.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't mention that. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, the open space area is purposely open to allow for a multiple of functions in that area. But it's also open to allow for excess parking or overflow parking for major events that may occur at the Willard, at the Whalen Commons. And so we, in addition to the parking, the green parking field here for the John Poole House, you can see a dashed in area here that has another 16 or so parking spaces. And then there's the open field here that will be unimproved, but for once or twice a year could handle overflow parking. And we estimate that there's about 70 spaces in that area. And so there's opportunity that not only will serve daily functions as a park, the needs of the John Poole House for parking that they don't currently have, but it also will serve as an opportunity for that overflow parking for major events like Poolsville Day.
And Dave, that all of that area will appear to be grass, right? I mean, the optic will be a field as opposed to parking lot.
Yeah, that's correct, Jim.
Okay.
The only thing that we show that would be a hard surface would be the pathway connecting the John Poole House to the community and ultimately to Fisher Avenue.
Okay.
And so the second park, this is a zoomed in plan. Here's the town hall, of course. Beale Street comes out right here. So this park does the same thing. It's on a visual terminus to the Beale Street. It is got visual connectivity to the Whalen Commons. So one of the features that folks asked for and we're providing is that if there's an event occurring in the Whalen Commons, they can still have younger children participate at this recreation site, a playground basically, and still have visual connectivity between the two. So it's very close. We actually indicate a potential crosswalk at this location, connectivity through and a sidewalk system with homes. We have 3 homes fronting again in a similar fashion to the other park, facing the park. And then you can see here's the line for the old right-of-way, which is a logical extension of that parkland. There's some major trees just north of here, and we're proposing a planting of trees just to the northwest of this park. The park has also been designed as a multi-age playground, and what that means is it'll serve for children that are in the 2 to 5-year-old range, as well as kids that are slightly older in the 5 to 12-year-old range. So it'll serve both age groups, and so it's going to incorporate features for both of those groups.
Dave, I'm going to interrupt again because
Go ahead.
there was another suggestion that was made by the moms of Poolsville that there is a need for autistic adult children to be able to have facilities that they can go to. They're sort of a middle range group. They're not infants, of course, and they're not adults in the normal sense. So it's a playground that would be able to be that's being modified so that particular type of user would have it available to them.
That's absolutely correct, Jim, and thanks for bringing that up. What we're actually is proposing that the sidewalk system would be the perimeter, and you can't see it because one sidewalk is co-located with the property line, but it's essentially a triangle with a sidewalk system around it that'll provide accessibility to any part of the park. So the park is, think of it as a level parkland area with the sidewalk system perimeter. So anyone who requires ambulatory accessibility can enter the park in several locations. Now, when we get into the details with the Planning Commission and later on down the road and others, we may have some fencing in here, of course, for safety reasons, and we may have secure locations along that park. But the point is that someone can easily get from one point to another either within the park or can enter from multiple locations. And again, because the Fife Road dead ends at this location, there is a logical opportunity for the town, if they so desire, to extend the park in this area. So this could be phase 1, and whatever they would like to do in the future could be phase 2 in this general area. So that was one of the features that I thought was very valuable, that it wasn't internalized to the community, but on the edge, so that it served not only the town hall and the future community on the Willard property, but it also served the Wayland Commons, and it has the potential to expand as well. And that's pretty much the presentation. If we have any questions.
Dave, could you talk about it for a minute, the buffer and the trail going through the buffer area, the treed area on the back end of the project?
Yeah, yeah.
That was another Parks Department, Parks Board suggestion that I think works very well.
Yeah, exactly. As you mentioned earlier, so we have this one park land, the parks that we were talking about are down here. This is a private open space that'll be treed. We also have a large buffer that Mr. Rivard mentioned that's in the green on the plan here. That is also going to be forested, and there will be informal trails going through there, which give the opportunity for connectivity to perimeter properties, to the church property, or it can just simply be a walking trail through the perimeter of the community. So that's been included in here. And of course, we're proposing that this is predominantly an HOA property, but this may be decided by the town that they would like to see this as a dedicated part of the park land, and that could be done as well. And that would give public access through public lands from, say, Glassway or from Fife Road around to the John Poole House. So that there's an opportunity for that as well.
One of the things that I think this plan does, and I've been involved in plans that don't do this, is it embraces the community. It doesn't turn its back on it. I mean, a lot of subdivisions, they get stuck down on a piece of ground, and the rear end of everything is facing the public, both the roads and the other neighborhoods, and everybody's looking at the rear end of everything. And this plan really, Dave's done a beautiful job of incorporating or including the rest of the community into this community. So the houses are facing, you have good optics wherever you go. You're never looking at the rear end of something. You're always looking at the front, the best view. And the people inside the houses are looking at the community, and the connectivity of the roads and the connectivity of the sidewalks and of the parks. It's all very much integrated into the town. And a site like this kind of an infill thing, if it doesn't do that, I think it really loses a great opportunity. And I think it's something the town, the citizens of the town really schooled us on. Whether they said it directly or not, we got the message that this is a unique site, and it should do something like I just suggested, and I think it does. David, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you. David, you still there?
Yes, I'm sorry, Jim. I'm right here. I was muted. Sorry.
I nodded. You probably nodded off.
Yeah, right. No, but I've completed the presentation. I'm certainly open for any questions or any thoughts that anybody might have. I'd be happy to try and answer their questions.
I think they've all nodded off.
This is Doug. What sort of documentation or information have you provided the Planning Commission with just yet? Have they seen anything at all?
Seth, they've only seen our application, I assume, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. They've just seen, quote unquote, the application. So Doug, no later than probably Monday at noon, the Planning Commission will receive all these visual documents, some other pieces of information, and then a staff report to accompany this proposal, laying out a number of details on this development to give the Planning Commission a scope and understanding what they're going to have.
Okay, good.
Hey, Seth, what do you mean by quote unquote, application, quote unquote?
Well, what I want to say
is,
is, sure, good question. I just want to make sure you don't think the Planning Commission is just getting a blank black and white application describing the property. Another thing, there's a formal application that you submit, but then these are the renderings is what I'll
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Tracking. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And if I could add to that, Seth, we also provided a booklet that
Mhm.
page by page takes the pieces of the community and describes them in more detail. And it's about 20 pages in length. I could go through that for the board now if they'd like, but one of those, of course, is the pedestrian ways, and we illustrate those in more detail in that booklet.
Yeah, we were told to keep it as a park discussion. There's a lot to talk about here, and I hope you all will follow this plan as it goes through, both as members of your different boards and as citizens, to watch this thing take place and provide input to us. But Mr. Willard's been very silent. Billy, are you on with us?
I'm right here, Jim. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
This is his
I
baby.
was going to wait till you got done. I was going to make a comment or two.
All right. Well, this is his baby, and this is his family's baby. Billy and his brothers and sisters. This is their property. It's been in their family for how many years, Bill? Over 80.
1908, early 1900s.
Early 1900s. So they were very disappointed and heartbroken over the way the thing went the first time out when it was builder controlled. We were contractually manacled and couldn't really do much about it. So the fact that it kind of went its own way and we were able to reboot and bring it back as a Willard project based on community input has been a joy for us. And Billy has been, he went from being downhearted and sorrowed by that last effort to feeling, I think, Billy, you feel pretty good about the way we've handled it so far, haven't you?
Those are two pretty powerful adjectives, Jim. Downtrodden and sorrowful.
I'm close enough to you that I know how it was affecting you.
Well, let me, and I made a few notes and a few thoughts, and I know Mr. Commissioner Eck is on, and he's new, and you know we're back 4 or 5 years, Jim and Dave,
Yeah.
when the commissioners and Wade Yost called me actually and said we have reserved a certain amount of water and sewer. We were not pursuing developing the property. We think it's the proper time to complete this infill, and we'd like to talk to you. And we did. We spent time and effort. I spent money talking to them and figuring out how we wanted to proceed, and talked to my siblings and my father, and we thought it was a good idea. And I still think it's a good idea. It's a way different concept than what we had originally put forth from a builder we were contractually obligated to. I look at it as an opportunity. Our family looks at it as an opportunity to do something pretty special, especially while my father's still around. He turned 89 in September. He was born in house number 63, actually. And, you know, that's kind of his shrine. And how this development looks and feels, and down the road, 10, 20, 30, 50 years from now, it's our intention that there's strict compliance to building materials, architectural design, that this project will look great for my grandkids and great grandkids. And that's our goal and objective. I'm not a developer, and Jim Clifford and Dave Ager are my trusted advisors. I'm an agriculturalist, as most of you know. And so I trust them inherently with a path forward, but I do know that, in fact, that our goal is, and how is to be sure it looks great 50 years, 100 years from now.
Commissioner Eck, you should probably also know that the Willard House, which is what Billy referred to as where his father was born and has a long history in their family, is being kept by the Willards. That's not part of any deal that we're making with any builder or developer. And it's very likely that the lot next to it, between it and the John Poole house, will probably be kept by the family as well. Not as a house, but as a lot. Just to have that open space for them. So anyhow.
Yes, thank you. I know well what that home is. I ran a call there quite some time ago. And I do believe that is a beautiful home.
It is. And it's like Billy said, it's a shrine to his father.
Well, Well, thank you, Commissioner Eck, for running that call and taking care of my great aunt. And I know what you're talking about because
Yeah.
I miss her dearly. But that's, she was born and raised in the house, and she died there. And thank you.
No, you're most welcome.
All right, well, we've taken a lot of time from the Parks Board over the last years, and we appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to hear from us?
I'd say thank you, gentlemen, for presenting. I actually have just a question for the chairman. Doug, what do we, procedurally here, what are we supposed to do? I mean, we can recommend it, but are we recommend, or, we typically recommend something to the commissioners, or
Right.
how is it that we approve this? You know what I mean?
I think what we can do is indicate that we have been in continued, discussion with the applicant, and that from the Parks Board stand, we are comfortable with we're comfortable with their proposal as it pertains to parks, streets, and recreation.
The open space layout.
Yeah.
And now,
I think that tells people, all right, we've done what we've been needing to do, and it goes to the Planning Commission now. I mean, effectively, once it comes back, it'll come back, I guess, one more time at least one more time from the Planning Commission, just to say, Parks Board, you still meet your criteria. Presumably, the answer will be yes, and then it goes back and on from there.
okay. So we don't make a recommendation to the commissioners in this case. We're just basically saying.
Yeah. I think we let the commissioners know where we are, but we don't formally tell them that, that we would recommend it. Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, Mr. McKinney, this is Jeff. I would like to get with you to understand what my report will contain at the next commissioners meeting, which I believe is on the 21st.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would very much like to get with you and make sure I, convey the correct words.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to sitting down, and it's either maybe coffee or beer. You'll have to let me know, or both.
Yeah.
Just for everybody's information, let me discuss process. This plan does go to the Planning Commission. They review this plan as a collective, and then they provide a recommendation to the Town Commission. The Town Commission then holds a public hearing on this project, and it will be the Town Commission that approves this project because it's in the Village Overlay District. Most plans terminate and end with the Planning Commission, but they're utilizing the Village Overlay District, which has, without getting to the mechanisms, a zoning-like component to it, and that's why the Town Commission gets involved in that. So, Jeff, what'll happen is the 16th, the Planning Commission will review this to provide some level of recommendation, presumably out of the 16th, and then this would be on your January meeting for you all to look at. And don't forget, your meeting on the 21st is going to be less of a traditional Town Commission meeting and more of a workshop.
Yes, thank you, Seth. That's correct. Thank you.
Yep.
So, Seth, what you're saying, we can do what we proposed just now, right? There's no problem with us sending something over to the commission or Planning Commission saying this meets our criteria, and then I think based upon the fact that it sounds like there's a couple other approval mechanisms, there would one of those in there would include us as a, are you formally recommending this, plan, this park plan, right?
Yeah, I think you're more than fine to do that tonight because the Planning Commission will take it under advisement. They ultimately approve the plan.
Right.
So I don't think that's an issue. And again, Planning Commission provides their recommendation to Town Commission on the overall project.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't think we need to do,
So, hey, Doug, can I just chime in real quick?
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is, and I think that this is what, Jim and Billy and Dave are looking for, is they just want a statement from the parks. And I think we can give them that easily, I think, and say, hey, we're pleased with the plan that the Willards have come up with through 5 meetings now. We've discussed and move things around. Well, I won't say move things around, but
Yeah.
things have been developed in the way that we are now happy with. Yeah.
Yep.
It's more or less a statement, I think, is what we need to pass on to the planning commission.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Yeah, it's not even, I don't even think it can be a recommendation or advisement since,
Yeah.
I mean, they can take it under advisement, but it's, in the end, they have to make that decision first before it even comes back to us.
Right. That's my thought too.
You know what I mean? I understand exactly what these gentlemen are asking for. And I think it makes sense. I just, from a procedural standpoint, I just wanted to make sure we're doing it correctly so that we can't approve it as it stands because it hasn't been approved by the planning commission yet. So, but I mean, if anyone wants to make a motion as to what you said, Jeff, I'm definitely in support of that. I just don't know how to word it properly.
Yeah.
Maybe, Patrick, you just say that it looks good, it doesn't suck, okay?
Well, Mr. Willard, I think it looks really good. I'm pretty sure it doesn't suck, but
I don't know anything about land development, okay? No.
That's the way things should work, right? Yeah, it looks good, it doesn't suck.
Well, I got to say, Mr. Willard, I've appreciated this whole process. It's really worked out well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you all. You guys have a thankless job. I've served on many nonprofits, from the fair board to school boards to ag advisory, and you don't get paid for it. It's thankless. So appreciate what you guys do.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Probably got to get something squared away here language-wise.
That's what I'm. Yeah, that's.
You don't like my language?
Can we say something along the lines?
All right, I got you. So hey, the Parks Board has met with the Willards and their representatives 5 times and are happy with the what do they call it? Proposed park space layout and any other word you got there?
Layout and plan.
Layout and plan.
All right. Yeah. Good.
How about,
It could be
instead of happy, would support
Yes.
commissioners, would support the planning commission's approval if as it stands, as the plan stands. Something along those lines, instead of happy, like.
Oh, yeah, that's
you
it's a good point.
would support it.
Or, well, that just like, so then the Parks Board is in support of the plan that the Willards are proposing. How does that work?
As it pertains to parks and open space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if that is a formal motion, I second it.
Street Board
I think we can do it that way. I mean, I see no reason not to think about it.
support of the proposed, I'm writing all this down.
All right, take
Good,
your time.
because I'm going to need your notes.
I'm going to say it here in a second. Proposed parks and open space. So I got the Parks and Streets
In the end,
Board.
just put it.
So I've got the Parks and Streets Board is in support of the proposed parks and open space, what, layout?
Layout or plans.
Okay, well, you layout. That is being presented. How about that?
As part of the Willard development proposal.
Of the Willard property proposal.
Yeah.
All right, you want to read this back now?
In parentheses at the end, it does not suck.
All right,
That's
so
the
I
long
make a motion
motion I've
that
ever
we provide the following statement to the Planning Commission. The Parks and Streets Board is in support of the proposed parks and open space layout that is being presented as part of the Willard property proposal.
Second.
All right, recommendation has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Any comments or concerns? Now's the time. Hearing none. I guess acknowledge the previous question, and all in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Yeah, so we can,
Well, you're not going to see us unless we
Aye.
switch back to the multi-view, but yeah.
right.
Aye.
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 There
There
you
we
go.
go.
All right. Any nays? Abstentions? None. Motion passes. 5 to 1.
5, yeah.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 6. No, 5. Sorry.
Are you counting yourself?
Yeah, I think so. Twice, maybe. Anyway, all righty.
Jim,
So-
Billy, Dave, thank you. I really appreciate this.
Thank you all. Just in defense of Billy Willard, I've served on several boards with him, and he's far more eloquent than what he demonstrated tonight.
It's a COVID thing, all right? I got my COVID hair. I mean, it's a damn COVID thing. So, hey, thank you guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you all.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Thanks, Seth. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good night.
So,
Hey, Doug, did you say it was 5 to 1, or I thought
yeah,
the
I
vote-
think it, yeah, so 1,
I
2,
believe it.
3, 4, 5, and I actually 6 because,
but you said 5 to 1.
Yeah,
Is
it was
somebody
6-0,
vote-
right?
oh, I did. I apologize. No, 5.
Yeah.
5.
There's 6.
There's 6. Commissioner Eck
He's
is
6-0.
Right,
is
yeah,
6.
Jeffrey's on, yeah.
Oh, okay.
6-0.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
0.
I can't seem to get this thing to turn off.
Damn
Hey,
it.
Terry, do you want me to
Um,
email that to you?
So before
Yes,
we,
please. Because my notes say insert Jeff motion here.
And Jeff, while you're
I
at it,
did
will you
write-
copy, Jeff, will you copy
I
on me
wrote-
that as well? Because I'm going to put that in my planning commission staff report.
Yes, okay, yeah, because I wrote it all, I was
Thank
writing
you,
all that
Jeff.
down.
so,
But I must say that was one of the best processes that we've been through
oh,
in
yeah.
the 15, 16
Yep.
years I've been doing this.
Yeah, yeah. The only other time that it was remote was, I can't remember. I think it was one of the, I think Brightwell Cross, not Brightwell, one of,
Right, well,
yeah, right. You know, where we were in there with knives and scissors, right? Cutting up the park area and moving it around and making it fit within the allowance and stuff. So, but yeah, this has been really successful, I think. Jeffrey Eck, I want to formally welcome you to the board. Obviously got delayed a little bit because of things, but glad to see you here. Plan on, we'll touch base on other stuff. But you and I have worked together before. I don't know.
We
if you
have, we
recall.
definitely have. Yes, indeed. Yes.
Yep. So with the Boy Scouts and you guys
Right.
in the fire department. as well.
Fireworks, right, right.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, thank you very much. I do look forward to, participating in the Parks and Rec and Streets board. So I'm very glad I'm here. I have a lot to learn. And like I said before, I've been watching the videos to try and catch up on things. So yeah, in that regard, I guess recording the videos on Zoom has definitely helped me.
Yeah, yes, indeed. So, any other old business?
No other old business.
Okay, new business, Hughes Road speed humps.
Yes, Mr. McIntyre requested that we put this on the agenda and you approved that request, Doug. And it's definitely something that is going to be needed over time. You guys can discuss when that will be. As I've mentioned before, I'd like to see in our next paving project, which would be in the summer of 23, actually 22, summer of 22, to take care of our new roads that we brought into our system ideally, because some of them are pretty rough, but there may be an opportunity to make some modest improvements like this now, but
Yep.
I'll let Jeff jump in. He's the one interested here.
So yeah, so yeah, my thought on this is, with the COVID thing, and I've got 2 puppies now that are, they're a year old now, but I walk that road almost every day.
Mhm.
And the cars, as we all know, over the years, they fly down that road.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Mhm.
I looked So doing, more walking and thinking about this, I'm looking, there are at least like 4 spots where the road, it's from being wide pulls into a really narrow section that I was thinking even, it would save us money, or not save us money, but the speed humps wouldn't be as expensive as my thought. If we were to put in, say, 3 or 4 along that strip from where town starts to up to our new stop sign. I mean, and even, and I know John Strong, whatever last meeting said, there was something, with the way the road is contoured or something, that it's not the most suitable for, doing improvements like this. But I'm thinking, if for, sake of the community, and this is something we've been discussing for years, and we've been hoping that we would eventually, get ownership of this strip of land. So even if, my thought is, can we ask, do we have to ask the commissioners, or how do we get John Strong to, do what he did for us on Chiswell? And
Yeah,
take a look
why
at
don't we
Hughes.
do this? Let's just formalize it by this board and say, take a quick vote to have John take a look at locations where speed humps can go in on Hughes Road, and I'll provide that report back to you. And it's a straight enough road where I think we can definitely do this. I don't think there's a problem there, but you just formalize it.
And like my point, there are several sections there where it could be a, not as wide. Don't pick, obviously we wouldn't pick the wide sections.
Correct.
To put these in.
How many
If we
speed
were to
humps
do
are we
it.
talking about?
2 would be ideal. I'm sorry.
Myself, just looking at it. Yeah, I'm sorry, myself, just looking at it, I was thinking at least 3, because it is a long strip.
Yeah.
I mean, and like I think we mentioned last month, there is no stopping from River Road all the way to now where we've got our stop sign at Tom Fox and Hughes.
Yeah.
So
I have a quick question. Are you talking
see the
about,
cars flying down.
are you talking about the piece of
I'm
Hughes
sorry, go ahead,
Road? Yeah, I just had a question. Are you talking about the piece of Hughes Road between Tom Fox and Wooten?
No, it'd be
No.
Tom Fox.
Actually, Tom Fox. Because Tom Fox curves around and goes down past the middle school.
Oh, yes, okay. Oh, yes.
So it's
Right.
After the church.
so it's the place right next
So-
to the farmer's field.
So
Yep,
3 speed humps between Tom Fox and Tom Fox.
Yeah. Oh, there, it does, it's wide there and then it narrows down. Exactly. Yep.
Mhm.
Hey, Seth, at the same time you have John doing the speed humps, have him look at, get rid of that turn lane right at Hughes and Tom
Yeah,
Fox.
I was gonna throw maybe that in as a improvement as well, potentially.
Yeah, we gotta get rid of that. We gotta get our sight line better in there.
What about the rumble strips too? Is there a reason we put those down, or is that just was that a short-term thing?
It was a short-term thing. It was to be there kind of as an aid to people that drive that road every day. Hey, listen up, look up. There's a change in pattern, change the thing. Then you begin to see. I've actually seen people stop at that speed. The what are they called?
Rumble strips.
Rumble strips. Thank you. Just plain stop
That-
because they don't know what to do.
But that
So they
can't
go
be a
straight.
permanent thing, right?
No, it was not meant to be a permanent thing. It was meant to be a temporary kind of, practical introduction to the fact that things are changing in that intersection.
Gotcha.
And then the long term, which is what Seth had just brought up here now with respect, and Jeff, with respect to the get rid of that right-hand turning lane, because it is useless at this point and it's more confusing than anything else. And I can't see that would cost too much to do. It's going to kind of, you're ripping up a curb and gutter and asphalt, and you're replacing it with grass and the curb and gutter.
Just making a swell.
Yeah,
Make a swell.
yeah.
Yeah, I looked back on the if you go on Google Maps and look at the satellite view over the years. It was like back in 2005, 2006 when we put in curb and gutter thing, which like we know now kind of created this issue, mess,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, part of it also, though, I think was back when we were having issues with people parking right next to that ball field too. And then by
Yeah, that's true.
re-engineering that curve, re-engineering that corner, then gave us the ability to put in all the no parking signs and.
Right. Yeah, but now that was, I think that was on the opposite side, or the side beyond Tom Fox and directly adjacent to Helmholtz Field. Right, not, which would have actually been
Well,
after.
no, right along the corner right there where the Catholic Church house is.
Right, yes, yeah. But I
So-
don't think that, we didn't change the.
Oh.
No, it doesn't make, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not, I was just giving a little history.
Yeah.
Do we need to make a recommendation then, or Seth, is this something you can just go to
Let me just talk with John. I think.
John and
Yeah.
come back with a plan on what,
Recommendation.
if we can do that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't know if we need
because
three, frankly. I
Yeah.
mean, three's, I know this is a long strip, but I think three, that would be like, I don't know.
Well, I just
think
mapped
two,
it
I
out.
think two
It's a
is where I would say, but you know, that's just me. I'm
It's
not.
it's a little over 3,000 feet. It's a little over 3,000 feet. I just looked on Google Maps.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I
Over
think
half
you
a
throw
mile.
I think you throw one speed hump in there and people are, okay, I'm entering residential area. I need to slow down. You know what I mean?
Well, and if, just for quick discussion, I mean, we've been told already it's ideal that these go in pairs.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I just don't,
And if
throw
you
in
look at
three-
Hillard has, Jeff, you live down this way. Doesn't Hillard have two in its stretch from Hoskins to Helmholtz?
Yeah, there's two on Hillard now. Those are
That
the
kind of
ones
gives
that
you a
were just put
reference
in with the
point,
last-
but we'll let John provide our recommendation, you know?
That's, yeah. I was just, my
Yeah,
two
that's-
cents,
yeah.
but
Let's rely
I'll
on
defer
John.
to what, yeah, that's what I say. My 2 cents, I'll defer to what John says.
Okay. Any other new business, I guess?
Tom
Yeah,
Fox,
before we
if
jump to-
Tom Fox and Hughes Ave in there, is there anything else we need to discuss there?
Jeff, that was.
Yeah,
another
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Well, Seth, as a result of those, you're gonna have two things to talk to John about, right? Obviously, speed humps, and then the altercation or changing in configuration of that right-hand turn lane
Correct.
at Tom Fox.
What, Jeff, was that your second component, was that right-hand turn lane that was not functional?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sounds good. I'll get John on those items and we'll provide back at your next meeting, which is on the 6th, hopefully.
Okay.
But,
Great.
uh,
Any other new business?
no other new business.
Okay, thank you. Preston,
Hey,
you're up.
Can we just have a little open discussion? Hold on, Preston, before you jump in, can we just have a little open discussion too? Is that possible?
Sure.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a concern. I'm actually, I think Commissioner Eck here would, in the future, will be able to address this. But my concern is, it seems like over the last, I don't know how long, year maybe, but a lot of the stuff that we discuss in these meetings hasn't been making it to the commissioners. A point in an example would be the whole Willard property that we just discussed. You know, we had met with them 3 or 4 times, I guess 3 times before the commissioners, before the latest round of the elections.
Mhm.
And at that Q&A that they had for all the people that were running for commissioner, Martin and Jerry were, and the question was, what's going on with that Willard property?
Right.
And I would have thought that with us having met with the Willards, their reps 3 times at that point, that somebody would have passed on to the commissioners that, hey, the Willards are back and we're talking about this, even just somewhat, a rough, so that, because I after the fact, I talked with Jerry, I've talked with a couple of other commissioners, one's previous commissioners, and they've said, yeah, no, they did not know that this was a project or, thing that we were discussing with them.
Well, I only knew it because
And
I really only knew it because I was watching the videos that were on YouTube. And I saw the entire
Right.
presentation basically from Mr. Clifford and the other gentleman, laid out and laid out quite well on the previous video. So, yeah, but one of my roles as commissioner is a liaison to the Parks, Rec and Streets Board. And so I'm tasked with creating a report. So I have to report, or I will report back on whatever has been discussed at the Parks and Recs and Streets Board. I report that back at the commissioners meeting. So I can't really say how much information was transferred between the Parks Board to the commissioners meeting because I wasn't there. But I can tell you right now that I want to get with Mr. McKinney and make sure that I present the correct material to the next commissioners meeting, which is, well, I guess on the 21st, we're going to do something different, but then certainly the commissioners meeting after that. So I want to make sure everybody's informed so that there aren't any surprises, because the next step with the Willard property is going to go to the planning and zoning folks and then eventually show up at the commissioners table. So I don't want anybody to be surprised about that.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, I guess that was my point. That's just my point. And I know you'll talk with Doug, but I just wanted everybody else on the board to know that, the commissioners, it seems over the last, several months, year, I don't know what it's been, where I've talked with them and, I'll mention things that we've talked about and they're like, wow, we had no idea.
Oh, okay.
I mean, even like this past Monday, the commissioners meeting, nothing was mentioned about the potential of these boys coming to repaint the skate park. Nothing was mentioned about the John Strong's $20,000 cost for permitting and whatever it was for the trail.
Okay.
Yeah. So and Jeff, I'm grateful. I love your comments there. I just want to make sure that, what we're doing here is being passed on.
Yes, indeed. It will be. It absolutely will be. Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
I got a question, Doug.
It was just a point of information to the rest of us, or the rest of the guys on the board.
No, it's important that that those things are made public.
Well, speaking about those boys in the skate park, have we heard back from those young men yet?
I responded back to them. John and I were digging up the plans for that and trying to get some of the square footage that we had talked about. We actually had to reach back to the company that designed it because we didn't have the plans in-house, and they luckily had a copy of that set. So we're working on that a little bit as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
Good.
And John,
Hey,
go ahead.
Jeff,
Go ahead, Jeff.
I just want to make clear, I did not expect you at this past commissioners meeting to inform them of anything because you hadn't been at any of our meetings.
Well, that's basically what I said.
Can I have a minute?
And Jeff, by the way, Doug is perfectly fine.
Thank you, Doug. You can call me
In fact,
Jeff.
I'll probably answer to that quicker than I will Douglas. It usually means I'm in trouble.
Very good. Very good. I appreciate that. Yep.
Okay.
Tim, did you have? I thought Tim, you had something you were.
I got to talk. No, I can't.
What's that, Patrick?
I thought Dr. Pike had a comment.
Yeah, I've been talking to Doug and Jeff about this, and maybe Patrick over the. Let me just sign it. Okay, here you go. We came up with a lighting proposal, sidewalk proposal, and whatever happened to that? Are we to get money from the state over the last year and a half, 2 years?
So let me break this down a little bit clearer. You said lighting and sidewalk. So provide me a little detail because there's one component I might know about, but I'm not totally sure where you're going.
About 2 years ago, Doug, Patrick, and Jeff and I rode around the town at nighttime. We looked at all the light poles and which one needed to be replaced. And we had a plan so we could get state money. And Preston, you know about this, right?
Mm-hmm. Sidewalks too. We put together a really comprehensive sidewalk report, a sidewalk plan.
We were told we had to do this plan so we could get in line for state grants. And all this work is done for nothing. And we haven't seen any sidewalks or lights replaced.
Well,
Yeah.
we had a first round replaced, and then it just seemed to have just dropped off the face.
For
About
the
2
side,
years
for
ago,
the,
yeah.
for the lights, but the sidewalks, I don't think we've seen.
Yeah.
Because we did Hempstone. We did half off that list. We just haven't got into the other
More money.
section. Collier, Dowden, that section through there.
Right.
And
Is
the
that
other thing,
because we haven't gotten any state grants, or is that just something that we're budgeting for, or what's the?
That's up. I don't know. I don't know where we're at on that.
I don't
I'm
think
not the
we've
money maker.
gotten, I don't think, I mean, I could look, but I don't think there's many state grants for maintenance of light poles and light replacements generally.
For LED, we were switching to LED. There was
Well, and
there was a
that's
whole-
a component I've been working on, and that's a huge nugget because Potomac Edison basically is making it very difficult to switch to LED lights and get the rates changed. You could switch in theory to, more efficient lights, but they're not going to give you the rate on that. And they've been fighting us on that. Even Montgomery County, who has Pepco or whatever, Pepco's works with them a little bit better, but Potomac Edison's throwing all these roadblocks in the way of getting converted to LED. So I am working on, a state grant with that and trying to figure that out. It's almost really how much would it cost? What's the savings, and is there a cost benefit ratio to it?
Right.
But Potomac Edison's made it challenging that way. I'm familiar with the
Was this the-
sidewalk. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, sorry, good.
I'm familiar with the sidewalk inventory. I haven't peeled it back. One of the things that I need to come to this board next month for, speaking of sidewalks, is, and I can maybe look at that inventory a little bit deeper, but, John Strong and I have talked about some Safe Routes to Schools grant, which has in the past helped you get some additional sidewalk connections in different places. So I'd like to come back to you.
Those were priority one on the. That was priority one on the proposal anyway.
Yeah.
So that,
Yeah. So I'm going to bring back a location and talk to you about it and what the funding mechanism could be, and maybe making that happen.
and
That'd be great.
and one more thing, we had talked about back when Morgan was on the board about doing something with the infrastructure underground, the pipes, the wires, because we don't know where
Yeah,
these things are.
GIS.
Yeah,
Yes.
whatever happened to that? We had talked about that a year ago and nothing ever
Yeah.
happened. Preston, you know anything about that?
Once again, there was, I haven't been involved in that. I think they looked a little bit into it and it was looking at the cost and,
It was supposed to be in the budget, I thought. for
It
down
is in the
road.
budget, so I can speak to this a little bit. John Strong and I are going to talk about this probably sometime next month. So what he has, of course, has been our town engineer for a while. He has a number of our plans, and they were going to try and kind of scan those in and kind of geo-reference those, fancy way of kind of simplistic words, let's say taking like a Google Maps and taking those plans and referencing them. So ideally where the sewer manholes and turn valves are kind of show up on a street view in Google, if you will, for example. I mean, it's a very generic way of describing it. It's more to it than
yeah,
that.
that's what we talked about.
Yeah,
GIS
and
system.
then, yeah, correct. And so, but it's an implemented project because of its overall cost. Clearly with administration changes, with some other things that are going on, that have happened, that John and I need to kind of touch base with that. I mean, he and I just recently talked about a tablet that the guys could have in the field as well. So be able to reference things, and maybe some of this will even be down to when was the last time a particular valve was turned and exercised as well. So those are just a number of pieces to put back together, but it's not off the radar. There's just a lot of things on the platter right now with different.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Hey,
Okay.
since we're doing some housekeeping here, Morgan was heading up the
Bike
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 rack.
rack.
And that kind of has stalled since Morgan resigned from the board.
Joe, the update on that, and I did owe you this a while ago, is that the Morningstar Welding came back with a bid of, I think, $805 a rack. I politely circled back to them and said, can you do any better? I'm sure you did what you can. We appreciate your business. I mean, it's a sensitive conversation, right?
And he said, I'll touch base with you. And I think this was back in early September. And I really don't want to go back and push him and ask him again. I mean, I think it was a polite way of him saying, I've done the best I could. So basically the cost well exceeds your $500 recommendation. So, maybe we bring that back up and the board decides, do we just go with the standard bike rack that you can purchase out of catalog or something else?
I
And
mean,
then
it looks like we can get what we wanted for this, through a separate service. It's just for a little bit cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just won't, I'm assuming that if we went that route, it would not include like the below the bank logo and those sorts of things that we talked
No,
about.
that stuff would be laser cut on there. That's why we looked at it, at least if I remember correctly, we had found a vendor that would do it somewhere around $500 a rack or something like that. And then, but we wanted to see if, the local business could do it, save us the, shipping and all that good stuff and keep it local. So, I mean, we can go back to the drawing board. I can take that up.
If you could,
I think that's, go ahead.
If you could, because I was going to ask who the vendor was. If you could, that'd be great, Patrick. And I'll put it on the agenda for next month.
I just got to go back to my notes and find it. It may
Thank you.
Sitting in my folder there at the.
Pat, I think I may have that email because I think I was one of the people that forwarded a bunch of recommendations to Morgan.
Okay.
I may have that too. I'll look.
And
If
I
I've
can
got
do
it,
some
I'll
more
forward it.
research. It's fine. I just would like, I thought that was a very good initiative.
Mhm.
Frankly, I think it could help beautify the town and provide a need, or, solution to a need. And so, I don't want to see it wither on the vine here. So I'll take that up and figure out what we can do there.
Where was the bike rack to be placed?
Mostly in the parks where there was, the plan was we want to come up with a design that is, visually appealing, not just a bike rack, but something that, we had a bunch of different designs we looked at, but something that we could, maybe take where we have a town logo or a bank logo, or, something that says Poolsville or Falcons or something in there,
Right.
by school or something, just to kind of, you make it a little something less
Customize it, yeah.
standard,
Right.
but then put them, and do like we did the sidewalks and the lights. Where are the priorities? Where do we need them? And then, kind of budget it out over the next however many years until we can get them installed.
Sure. Thank you.
Hey, Doug, while we're
Seth,
still
I gotta-
house cleaning,
Seth,
can I touch on more?
Okay, sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
So while we're house cleaning, can I touch on two more things?
Sure.
With doing the walking, I also noticed Bodmer Park does not have a sign. I don't know if
for,
that's something
COVID?
that no,
That's
just a
actually
sign
good-
saying
that-
Bodmer
that's-
Park.
Oh,
Bottomer is actually considered Helmos Park.
That's right.
Okay, so then,
We call it the
so I'm
Bodmer
wondering
baseball
then,
field.
on our website and on our documentation, we've got listed a Bodmer Park.
Bodmer Park, yeah, because we
The play area.
have scheduled baseball stuff there.
The play area too, right? Was Bodmer Park. I
There's
thought.
the play
Yeah.
area, and then we have a
Mhm.
T-ball field right
T-ball.
there.
There's no
So,
sign there.
we either need to clean up the website, or we need to clean up our documentation, or we
Or
put a sign out.
Put a
That's
name
my
on them,
thought.
yeah.
There's a
Okay.
sign. I know there's a sign there though.
I
Right
thought
on the
so,
right
too.
side, but it says Almos.
Yeah, that's because
Right to the right of the driveway, right next to the ball field. There's a sign, but it says Helmos.
Yeah, because
This is something I noticed walking by.
Huh.
Called
And then
the Bodmer Tot Lot.
And I think bottom or tot lot was just a general reference for years because the tot lot was on Bottomer.
Oh,
And then the field went in.
I agree.
You know, hey guys, you remember when, who was
Gus.
the coach?
Gus Creedon.
Yes,
Yeah.
Gus Creedon. He had two daughters and they were very involved in soccer, and it was
Gosh,
easy to go across the street and have a soccer game to play, young kids, to do practice, this, that, and the other thing. And at one time, I think it's somehow somebody started to say, "Oh yeah, Creedon Park" or something like that. I went, no. That's
Didn't
nothing to
stick.
do with that. This is who it is. And that may have been part of the rationale for not putting a sign there, and but
Keeping it as part of the Halmos complex?
yeah. But I mean, if we call it Bodmer Park, and that's how I've always known it by, and if you look at our reports and, you know, the stats and stuff, we should probably check, we should probably do what Jeff suggested, that's getting the, you know, everything to look the same way as it should.
So that was just my question, whether we want to call it part of Halmos or whether it is Bodmer.
Oh, it says it on Google Maps, Bodmer Park. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, yeah. And it's on our website.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on our website. It's in our
Yeah, okay, so-
paperwork. It's.
Yeah, it says on
So,
Google
hey,
Maps.
all right, so
Bodmer
next
Park.
thing, just a point that I wanted.
Yeah.
So just a separate thing then, point I wanted to make is that I did, when Tim, I liked your minutes. I am a big fan of bullets instead
Yeah.
of a
Yeah.
rolling dialogue for minutes.
Is there a
Yeah.
button
I
here?
thought I would bring it up to everybody's, how do we want to see our minutes, I guess is my question. We've, well, over the last,
I've always
whatever. year,
bulleted.
different
Whenever
way.
I do it, I always do a bullet.
Yeah.
It's
bullet.
easier. That way you
Bullet's
pick up
fine.
on the concept.
Yeah, header and bullets or just bullets, whatever kind of fits there.
Gotcha.
I hope you're not going to nominate me for more minutes.
Wow, you're white
Okay.
typed and not you.
I dictated them.
Hey,
I
so
did,
then I
right.
had one question. I had one question. I don't know if I missed this in a meeting but did we ever discuss the speed humps going in on Bodmer?
Thought
I
they were
don't remember
there.
remembering us making a,
Yeah, I
You mean on
don't
Chisholm?
necessarily recall, but
no, Bodmer.
I don't remember even Bodmer. Am I brain skipping here? When did we talk about speed humps on Bodmer?
Sure.
Well, that's what I'm
was-
wondering, if I missed it at some meeting.
Mhm.
I know
Let me
they're there
check-
now.
Let me check the town commission. But I will definitely say that's one of those things we sort of expedited because the paving contractors were in town. And there was a pretty significant savings on it, and that's where that came about. But let me check the town commission agenda as well. Speaking of town commission, and what you might need to do is I understand, because that's what I've always heard it as Bodmer as well. I mean, I think when I was given a tour, that's what was done as well in terms of naming. But I guess we're going to formally name it that instead of Helmos, because I've heard it used interchangeably. You might want to make a recommendation to the town commission that, you know, there's a formal break there. You know, just putting it out there. I mean, you mentioned the things about the town commission. I guess they'd probably want to make sure they're in on that loop.
yeah, well, I mean, we should find out what we think the record shows.
Right. I mean, I don't think there's a
And then go from
recommendation
there.
that needs to be made yet to figure out what the record shows, and then
Yeah.
whether or not, you know, it's just because it says something on Google Maps doesn't mean that that's what we call it, or that's what we have formally named
Right.
it.
Right.
So if we got to go back and look at that, and and decide, do we want to, you know,
Right.
take the informal name off and keep it Halmos, or do we want to formally name it Bodmer? So I think we're a step away from that.
Should we put that on our as an agenda item for next
I would
month?
put it on an agenda item
Yeah,
for
I
next
would.
month for sure.
Yep.
And Jeff is onto something that, you know, every piece, a different piece of paper I've seen gives the impression that it's separate. I'm not advocating for that one way or another. I'm just saying there is sort of a reference, because the old website, as Jeff had indicated, showed as Bodmer Park. When I transferred everything to the new park, I didn't make any significant changes that way. I just took the naming and conventions over. And again, that's the way it has been listed.
Why does it have to be Bodmer Park? Why can't it be Bodmer Tot Lot? I mean,
Well, that'll be the discussion for January.
Because it
Yeah,
encompasses the
let's
baseball field as
discuss
well.
that in January, I guess. Hey, so then a follow-up question I got when you were talking about the paving. How did we end up with the parking lot at the church, that old Methodist church?
Well, it was in the paving RFP. It was in the paving RFP. And the town commission approved the RFP for the paving. And that was in there. Since we now own West Willard Road, and those parking spaces backed out and they were all gravel, this was a way to eventually start making some general streetscape improvements along there and providing the paving and parking lot in there. So again, you go back to the RFP, it was in there and it was approved part of the overall parking budget of the FY21. Asphalt was a little bit reduced cost as well, and so it was included in that project.
So we own West Willard now, so we can put sidewalks in now on the other side.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
eventually. I mean, I
sidewalk.
think we got it correct. There's definitely some improvements that need to happen, and there's an example of
School.
why
Yeah.
moving that parking spaces directly off the road for safety reasons is beneficial, because you had cars backing out into the roadway and those sort of things, and maintenance and upkeep. So
Maybe-
go ahead.
Maybe the sidewalk can be tied in with the school funding there. Didn't you
Mhm.
say something about sidewalk school funds?
I
Well,
think-
safe routes to school, yeah,
Yeah.
what I talked about.
Okay.
But, I think that section of West Willard has a lot of, once you get into the sidewalk discussion, has a lot of components I think we'd need to look at in greater detail, but
Yeah, it's a right away. It's the school's right away. So they.
Later race.
what's that?
I mean, I said it's the school's right away, if I'm not mistaken. So they would have to actually put it in, and I would assume that they'd have to bring it up to code, because now you're not going to build a school without a sidewalk.
Well,
Yeah.
I've asked them for that.
That's a
as
good point.
well. I've asked them for that as well, but some of their codes, since their county, can trump our local jurisdiction. I hope they install a sidewalk across the front there as well.
Yeah, I think they kind of have to.
And then connect to the
think-
corner to 107.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was actually on the sidewalk plan. So anyway,
Yeah, it was.
Hey, one last comment I have then. That whole field behind the old Methodist church.
Mhm.
Right.
Poolsville Day. What's that?
No,
Okay, so I would like to make a request or just point something out to this board so that we all remember it. But on Poolsville Day, I know that all the electric cars, shit, I just dropped, excuse me. Dropped water on my laptop.
I can still see
Look
you.
at that. Yep. Look at that. I got water dripping out of my laptop. That
Uh-oh.
sucks. Anyway, but all the the electric cars parked there near the Bassett's.
You have the
parking lot.
warranty?
Yeah.
Well, so I guess on that, no, that thing's like 10 years old. That's an old one. My concern is that cars drive across that field behind the old Methodist church, right? That's a cemetery.
Yeah.
I'd
One,
rather,
yeah.
it's my own personal feeling, I'd rather they not.
Yeah. I didn't realize that. I mean, I knew
It
it was,
is-
I knew it was
I didn't
a
even think about
cemetery,
that.
but I didn't realize that there were people driving across it.
Yeah, no headstones there. They took them off years ago.
I thought
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
parking. I
So I
thought
guess,
they were parking at the HealthWorks.
They do it
well,
for
no,
parking.
the electric cars and all, they park right off of Bassett's parking lot now, or at least that's what they did the last couple of years.
Okay.
In the what you call it, the exercise place, they have the old cars, I thought. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I guess
I
just
thought
my
it was
thought is,
combined. It must have grown to where they needed extra
We-
space.
but I would just like to at least, rope that off or something. It's just a personal thing where
Hmm.
you don't drive across a cemetery,
Yeah, no.
even if it's not. That was it for me with old business and cleanup and all that good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Seth, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Since while we're kind of in this open-ended loop here, uh,
Look
um,
at Jeff's
Tripping.
laptop.
Jeff's trying to dry his stuff out there.
Giant
Um,
bag of rice.
hey, so I was wondering, I saw a couple trucks out. Are they relining the sewers?
Oh, no, they're not relining the sewers. So that was a pleasant surprise to us. Washington Gas just rolled up one day and started doing video camera work without sort of requesting a permit or permission. But that's what's happening out there. So if you see those trucks, it's Washington Gas is doing. They're just kind of, I think they're just trying to get an idea of where our lines are and what their kind of objective and goal. I don't know. I mean, obviously they must have ideas with their own infrastructure that they're thinking about, but that's what's happening out there.
Okay, thanks.
I got nothing.
Okay, Preston, did we actually get to your, yeah,
Preston, wake up.
you're up.
Actually, it's pretty busy month for the town. Like I said, where the parking lot was, we actually rebuilt the storage facility at the Methodist Church there for the ladies there. Put a nice ramp on it for them so they can enter and exit the building and safely. As you know, the Christmas lights, that's a pretty large thing for us now. We got that all knocked out, and it seems to be everything looks good. I really do miss that event though. That was a missed event. And actually, starting this week, we're going to start converting our tot lot wood fibers over to rubber, so we won't have to replace them every other year. And it's going to probably be about a 6-8 year process, if not longer, converting our tot lots over to the rubber matting in there. And you'll see that. I think I know we're going to do Brooks Park first.
Okay.
And then that's kind of our test lot, see how it goes, and then we'll go from there on that. And we're going to do that tomorrow, actually. And so that's where we're at right now. One young group of boys started the path. We loaned them some gear, so the path that goes from Hillard over to the middle school pond. So that has started, and we just got a lot of work this fall time. I mean, we got trees we got to do. We got to do some plantings.
Did those guys get permission from MCPS to?
I'm not sure. I don't know where that stands.
They said they did.
They may have. If they're talking to the right teacher, it goes through pretty quick. I know.
And there's already a existing.
Shouldn't we as a
trail
town ask for something in writing that says they got permission to do that?
Well, I mean, we've kind of on our hands.
I mean, I know it shouldn't come back on us, but I mean, shouldn't we want to cross our T's and dot our I's on that?
Well, it like you said, it doesn't come back on us. So in that regard, we're fine. Because they're working on school property. We don't have right to provide.
Are they working on school property with town equipment?
A few pieces of tools. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't.
They have shovels and picks. Yes.
Okay. So
Okay.
I thought we were talking about a mechanized vehicle.
No.
And equipment.
All right.
Equipment.
Hey guys, take the backhoe, man. We'll get it.
I didn't mean a backhoe, like a bush hog or whatever. I mean,
no, nothing significant. Yeah.
Preston, where do you buy the rubber for the tot lots?
Actually, we ended up. I think we got our loads from Michigan, if I'm not mistaken.
Expensive?
It's it's a little expensive, but considering every 2 years we have to replace. It almost pays for itself in 2 to 3 years.
So are you taking the old material out?
Yeah, what we do, see, in most of those tot lots, there's actually a drainage system underneath.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, we go in and we put a fabric down, landscape fabric, a little heavier than normal, and then we put the rubber on top of it. Because if we go in there and try to remove that, we'll end up disturbing the gravel and the pipes that drain the water off of it.
Good.
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to the trail again. I mean, if this is a town project and these boys are working on MCPS, we're trying to negotiate with MCPS for a new school. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to damage any sort of relationship that we have with Montgomery County Public Schools right now if the school is something that we want. It's just me. Maybe I'm being a little too
Paranoid.
Yeah, paranoid or what have you. But I just think if we're connected to this in some way, which we are, and by the way, do the commissioners know that they're doing this?
Yeah.
Does Fair Access know that they're doing this?
Well, Jim heard about this at the town commission meeting, and so Jim's on Fair Access, and so he knows. So it's been before the town.
Carrie's on Fair Access too, so she should know as well.
She's not on Fair Access. She was
She was on Fair Access
a while ago, a long time ago.
And she
Um,
just appointed herself to fair access.
Yeah, for 2 weeks. And then what happened is there was some discussion that Jim should remain on there. So Jim is still on fair access,
Okay.
and so is Ed Reed. So
Okay. You know what? I'm sorry. I think I did read about that.
yeah,
But if it was me, I get some sort of letter of understanding or something that says, hey, yeah, we know these boys are doing, or these gentlemen are working on that.
and back to the mulch. The mulch is a little pricey, but I mean, as Preston indicates, year over year, over the long term, it's a lot better. But probably just to do that, Brooks Park's going to cost about $7,500. So it kind of gives you a sense of cost.
So, hey, Seth,
And how long is that supposed
just
to
hold on a
last?
second. Before we, just out of curiosity, are we going to try to get anything in writing or no? We don't care.
I think we need something. My opinion, I agree with you, Pat. I think we need something.
Mhm.
Did they reach out
I mean,
to the
just-
school? Did the school
Yeah.
blow them off?
And
That kind of thing.
Again, it may be over. I just think
Sure,
if we're working in partnership with the school, I just think we would need something. That's just me.
sure.
All right, so continuing or going back to the mulch. So at 7,500 for Brook Park, how long is that supposed to last?
Oh, that's a 20 to 30-year-old investment. It does not decay. See, the other ones they call them engineered wood fibers.
Yeah. The
Well,
chip wood,
It's just wood chips that are.
yeah.
But anyways, and with, they do 2 to 3 years, they're gone. They
Yeah.
rot on out. So,
But these are expected to last up to 20 years?
oh yeah.
Okay.
And it's like 10 years, no fade with the color and stuff on there. So once it's in there, it is in there unless the kids push it
Do
out.
we know what the break-even point is? Money-wise and time-wise,
I have not looked at that.
We
personally.
haven't figured that out. I mean, we definitely know over the long term. I mean, we're to the better. Plus, there's a cost element here. There's a longevity element here, but then there's also a quality of use for the participants using this. It's
Oh, yeah. No, I don't have a problem with us using
I know
it.
you don't.
I looked at it a long time ago, and it was just the beneficial, balance point didn't work for us then. Now,
Yeah.
if it does, that's great. But I'm just curious, listen, the chipwood lasted for 2 years, and we had to do that. So every 2 years we're replacing it at the tune of X number of dollars, or we can do the rubber stuff, which is 10 times more expensive now, but lasts 20 times more than the wood does. And,
Yep,
oh, okay, well, that probably worked. That's what I'm looking for. That's all.
And I think when we discussed this last time, the nice thing about these is, unlike rubber tires that you've seen around, these are actually remnant edges of like floor mats and other things. So they're not going to have any former wires and other things.
Wires and stuff. Okay.
Correct. And as much as they say they kind of
White
wash
walls.
and clean the asphalt, the asphalt still leaves scuff marks if you hit it, hard enough. And these rubber mats, obviously, the color's embedded into them, so shouldn't have
Okay.
that situation.
Gotcha.
It's pretty exciting for us, really.
Oh, yeah. All right, Preston, were you done?
Hey,
That's it, guys.
Can you guys roll back to that just a second? I'm sorry. I'm with the rubber mulch thing.
Yes,
We
sir.
will probably, I'm just thinking, because I remember seeing it up in Frederick. There will probably be people who are going to say, what are the side effects, VOCs and whatever. We need to be able to respond, I guess is my point.
Mhm.
Let's be prepared, I guess is my point.
Certainly.
Because I remember up in Frederick and other places, there were, a bunch of people complained about, what are the side effects? There was something about when the stuff gets heated up, you could smell it. People would say, what kind of gases am I breathing?
Right.
That kind of stuff.
And
So
that
have
was-
we,
I'm
that's
just
been
saying,
a-
we're going to need.
I know
we're
you're
gonna
being
be able
serious.
to respond.
It's crazy, but you're being.
I'm just saying, I've lived in
No,
this town
he's
long
right.
enough.
He's right.
Lived,
He's
Yeah.
right.
lived in this town
I
long enough.
know. I know.
We're going to
I
have to
know.
reply.
Correct. And that's a particular problem with the old tires as well, because they were so dark that they would start to whatever, and that's where the concern was.
Right.
But you're right. I mean, people are, there's everybody out there has questions and concerns.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I just want to be prepared.
Yep.
when are we supposed to install this?
What's that,
Carl.
sir?
When are we installing this, or it's already been done?
How about tomorrow morning? First load
Okay.
goes in.
So Seth, how soon will you be able to have some, at least minor comments on the town website about what's happening, so that we maybe kind of, diffuse
Get ahead
something
of it?
before we get started? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably get something out, maybe under town news, as just kind of a notice, like,
Yeah.
notice that these are going in, and low.
'Cause that'll help town hall. That'll help, frankly,
Yeah,
all of
absolutely.
us, because we get a lot of contact from friends and neighbors and stuff, of what's going on with this,
Right.
what's going on with that. And it's
Right.
much better if we can say, oh, this is what it is and why, and have some answers to the questions, than it is to just say, well,
Absolutely.
talk to the commissioners.
Always better be a little proactive. Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Not an issue.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Mr. Eck, you're prepared, correct? You're the next one.
I have been taking notes and
Holy.
this notes as well. So, but I need to fill in some gaps with you. Yeah.
Look at those
So,
minutes.
yeah.
Certainly. I'll give you a call, if not tonight, tomorrow.
Oh, not tonight. Thank you.
Okay.
So, but to this point, because I think Jeff's relatively new, on the commissioner report, the town commission did approve the speed humps on Chiswell. So obviously it's going to be weather dependent, and maybe if we get some things over on Hughes Road taken care of, we can bundle this contract a little bit, so we reduce the amount of mobilization cost and bundle the project, maybe make it more worthwhile for a contractor bid on a couple different pieces of work.
Oh, yeah. That would be good. Lose anybody?
No,
All right. Any other comments or concerns for the good of the town, or the good of the parks in the town? Hearing none, I
So,
will
all right.
Whoops,
Hold on,
what?
Doug. So my last question, my other question would be then, with the expediting the speed humps. Because, what's the time frame that you guys wanted, or I guess Seth, for the Chiswell? Is that like a month, 2 months?
Well, I would imagine that these will actually probably go in closer to mid-late spring, when the temperatures are a little bit more favorable.
The plants are probably shut down.
Yeah, exactly. That's the key element here. And we might as well kind of get anything we want to do kind of at the intersection of Tom Fox Hughes and those speed humps on Chiswell, just kind of in a general package.
Yeah.
Makes more
Okay, yeah, no, I was just wondering time frame wise. Thank you.
Yeah. Mid-spring.
That sounds
That
good.
works.
Yeah. All right. So, hearing no additional comments or questions, I will entertain a motion of adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
And
Second.
been moved and seconded. Any comments?
Who
or
was the
concerns?
seconder?
No, yeah,
I
think it
heard
was
a whole
me.
bunch of people. So who was
I
the
think it was-
seconder, Jeff?
Me or Jeff?
That was
That was
first.
me. Second by everyone.
All right, everybody. Be safe.
Did we vote?
Have a Merry Christmas, guys.
Oh, don't we have to vote on adjournment?
We have to
Yeah,
vote.
I thought everybody did when we had the little ruckus there. All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Nay. No. All right.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Thank you all.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
Thanks. Merry
Take care.
Christmas.
Yep.
Thank you. Welcome, Jeff.
No, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Yes.